My ex left me and our kids with a note saying she'd be back in a few years. 6 years later, she returned, but I had already moved on and remarried. I was 29 when I found the note taped to our bathroom mirror. Trevor, I can't do this anymore. The kids, the house, pretending to be happy, it's suffocating me. I need to find myself. I'll be back in a few years when I'm ready to be the mother they deserve. Don't look for me. Vanessa. 8-year-old Chloe and 5-year-old Mason were still asleep. I stood there holding that piece of paper, my hands shaking. Half her closet was empty. Her passport was gone. The joint savings account had been drained. $23,000 vanished overnight. For the first month, I kept expecting her to walk through the door. The kids asked every day when Mommy was coming home. I ran out of excuses by week 2, so I told them the truth. Mommy went away to think about things, but she still loves them. Chloe stopped eating dinner. Mason started wetting the bed again. I took family leave from my engineering job and learned to braid hair from YouTube videos. I figured out which pediatrician took our insurance and memorized the school pickup routine. I became both parents overnight because I didn't have a choice. The first year was brutal. Mason would wake up screaming for his mother at 3 a.m. Chloe became fiercely protective of her little brother, helping him brush his teeth and reading him bedtime stories in a voice too mature for an 8-year-old. I watched my daughter grow up too fast while my son regressed, and I felt like I was failing them both. My mother-in-law called every week for the first 6 months, asking if I'd heard anything. Vanessa's parents were devastated. Their golden daughter, who'd been valedictorian and homecoming queen, had simply vanished. They offered to help with the kids, but they lived 3 states away, and honestly, seeing them was like looking at ghosts of what Vanessa might have been. I hired a private investigator after month 4. He found 1 credit card charge at a gas station in Colorado, then nothing. She'd either gone completely off-grid or was using cash and fake names. After spending $3,000 I didn't have, I gave up the search. By year 2, we'd found our rhythm. Chloe joined soccer and discovered she was fast, really fast. Mason learned to ride his bike and stopped asking when Mommy was coming home. I started taking them camping on weekends, something Vanessa had always refused to do because it was too messy. I learned that Chloe liked her sandwiches cut diagonally and that Mason was afraid of the dark but too proud to admit it. I figured out that bedtime stories worked better when I did different voices for each character, and that Sunday morning pancakes could fix almost any problem. My friends from work tried to set me up on dates, but I wasn't ready. How do you explain to someone that your wife abandoned you and your children? How do you trust anyone after that? That's when I met Lauren at Mason's preschool. She was a teacher there, recently divorced, with a 6-year-old daughter named Iris. She had kind eyes and never made me feel like a failure when I showed up to pick up with my shirt on backwards or forgot it was picture day. Rough morning? She asked the first time we talked, gesturing to my inside-out sweater. Is it that obvious? I laughed, trying to fix it. Yesterday I sent Iris to school with 2 different shoes, she said. Single parenting is like trying to juggle while riding a unicycle. We started slow. Coffee after school events turned into dinners when the kids were at their grandparents'. Lauren understood single parenting in a way my married friends couldn't. She knew why I kept granola bars in my car and why I set 12 alarms every morning. She never pushed for more information about Vanessa than I was ready to give. When I finally told her the whole story, she just nodded and said, "Some people aren't built for the long haul. That doesn't reflect on you or the kids." Lauren had been married to a man who worked 60-hour weeks and expected her to handle everything domestic. When Iris was born with mild cerebral palsy, he suggested they try again for a normal kid. She filed for divorce the next day. I realized I was already a single parent, she told me. Might as well make it official. 3 years after Vanessa left, Lauren moved in with us. The kids adored her. She helped with homework without being asked and never tried to replace their mother, just filled the space Vanessa had abandoned. Iris fit perfectly into our chaos. She was quiet where Mason was loud, artistic where Chloe was athletic. The 3 kids became inseparable, building blanket forts and putting on elaborate plays in our living room. Lauren made our house feel like a home again. She painted the walls colors other than beige and hung pictures of our blended family everywhere. She taught Chloe how to French braid her own hair and showed Mason that cooking could be fun, not just a chore. We married last spring in our backyard. Chloe was my best woman, wearing a navy blue dress she'd picked out herself. Mason walked Lauren down the aisle, taking his job as ring bearer and protector very seriously. Even Vanessa's parents attended, which said everything about how they felt about their daughter's choices. "She's good for you," Vanessa's mother whispered to me during the reception, watching Lauren dance with all 3 kids. "The children are thriving." It was true. Chloe had made honor roll and was being scouted for the regional soccer team. Mason was reading above grade level and had stopped having nightmares months ago. Iris had integrated so seamlessly into our family that strangers assumed she was my biological daughter. For 2 years after our wedding, life was beautifully ordinary. School pickup, soccer practice, family movie nights. Lauren and I talked about having a baby together, but we weren't in any rush. Our family felt complete. Then last Tuesday happened. I was grilling burgers when an unfamiliar car pulled into our driveway. Through the kitchen window, I watched a woman get out, thinner than I remembered, blonde hair, now brunette, but unmistakably Vanessa. She stood there for 5 minutes staring at our house, the swing set I'd built, the garden Lauren planted, the welcome home mat we'd picked out together. My stomach dropped to my shoes. After 6 years of silence, she was back. When she finally knocked, Lauren answered. "Can I help you?" Lauren asked politely. Vanessa's face crumpled when she saw the wedding ring. "I'm looking for Trevor," she said, her voice smaller than I remembered. I appeared behind Lauren, my arm instinctively wrapping around my wife's waist. Vanessa, the name felt foreign in my mouth. You remarried, she whispered, like the words were glass. You left, I replied simply. Lauren looked between us, understanding dawning on her face. She'd known this day might come, but we'd both hoped it never would. The silence stretched between us until Mason's voice echoed from the backyard. Dad, can we eat soon? Vanessa's eyes went wide. That's Mason? Before I could respond, both kids rounded the corner. 11-year-old Chloe and 8-year-old Mason, grass-stained and laughing. They stopped dead when they saw her. Chloe spoke first, her voice steady and cold. You're not supposed to be here. Vanessa dropped to her knees, tears streaming. Baby, I know I left, but I'm back now. I'm ready to be your mom again. You're not my mom, Chloe said quietly. Lauren is. Mason moved closer to his sister, confusion written across his face. He barely remembered Vanessa. She was more of a vague impression than a real person to him. That's when Vanessa pulled out the thick manila envelope from her purse. Actually, she said, her voice suddenly harder, I am, and I have legal papers that say I'm taking you both home with me. The blood drained from my face. What are you talking about? I never gave up my parental rights, Vanessa said, standing and brushing dirt off her knees. I've been clean and sober for 2 years. I have a stable job and a nice apartment in Portland. I've been seeing a therapist who specializes in postpartum depression. That's what this was, Trevor. I was sick, and I needed time to get better. You abandoned us, I said, my voice rising. For 6 years. I left to get help, she corrected. The papers are all here. Medical records, employment verification, character references. I'm ready to be their mother now. Lauren's hand found mine, squeezing tightly. Chloe moved protectively in front of Mason. We don't want to go with you, Chloe said, her voice shaking but firm. This is our home. This is our family. Vanessa's face cracked. Sweetheart, I know this is confusing, but I'm your real mother. I carried you for 9 months. I was there when you took your first steps, said your first words, and then you left, Chloe interrupted. When I had the flu and almost had to go to the hospital. Where were you? When Mason broke his arm falling off his bike. Where were you? When I got my period for the first time and cried because I thought I was dying. Where were you? Each question hit Vanessa like a physical blow. I was getting better, she whispered. For you. For both of you. You were gone, Mason said suddenly, his voice small but clear. Lauren was here. Lauren helped me with my nightmares. Lauren taught me to tie my shoes. Lauren is my mom now. That's when Iris appeared from the backyard, looking for her mother. She took one look at the tent scene and moved to Lauren's side. What's happening, Mom? Iris asked. Vanessa's eyes narrowed when she saw the third child. Who is this? That's Iris, Mason said proudly. She's our sister. Your stepsister, Vanessa corrected sharply. Our sister, Chloe repeated firmly. The distinction hit Vanessa hard. In her absence, we hadn't just moved on. We'd created an entirely new family unit, one that didn't include her. I need to speak with you privately, Vanessa said to me. This conversation is inappropriate in front of the children. Lauren stepped forward. Actually, this conversation is inappropriate, period. If you have legal concerns, you should contact our attorney. Your attorney? Vanessa laughed bitterly. These are my children. I don't need permission to see my own kids. You do when you've been absent for 6 years, Lauren replied evenly. And you definitely do when you show up unannounced making demands. Don't lecture me about parenting, Vanessa snapped. You're nobody, a rebound who got lucky. I felt Lauren flinch beside me, but her voice remained steady. I'm the woman who held your son when he cried for his mother. I'm the woman who taught your daughter about periods and boys and self-respect. I'm the woman who has been here every single day for the past 4 years. Because I was sick, Vanessa shouted. I had postpartum depression that went undiagnosed for years. I was drowning, and I made the hardest decision of my life, to leave so I could get better and come back stronger. Postpartum depression doesn't last 8 years, Lauren said quietly, and it doesn't excuse abandonment. The kids had gone silent, watching this adult argument play out on their front lawn. Neighbors were starting to peer through windows. Can we please take this inside? I finally said. Vanessa shook her head. I'm not staying. I'm taking the kids tonight. Like hell you are, I said, all pretense of civility gone. Read the papers, Trevor. I've been in therapy for 2 years. I have a job, an apartment, references from doctors and employers. A judge will see that I've done the work to get better, and these children belong with their biological mother. They belong with the people who've been raising them, I said. People who didn't abandon them when things got hard. I didn't abandon them. I was protecting them from a mother who wasn't capable of caring for them properly. Would you have preferred I stayed and damaged them further? It was a fair point, and we both knew it. The Vanessa who'd left had been spiraling, sleeping until noon, forgetting to feed the kids, flying into rages over small things. I'd been working overtime to compensate, coming home to find the kids watching TV while their mother stared at the wall. But the alternative, leaving entirely, had damaged them too. You could have gotten help while staying, Lauren said. Therapy, medication, family support. You chose the nuclear option. I chose the only option I thought I had, Vanessa replied. And it worked. I'm better now. Are you? Chloe asked suddenly. Because you just showed up at our house after 6 years with no warning, demanding we come with you. That doesn't seem very better to me. Out of the mouths of babes. Vanessa's composure cracked. I know this isn't ideal, sweetheart. I should have called first, should have eased back into your lives. But when I saw the wedding announcement in the paper last year and then found out about the new house, I panicked. I was afraid if I waited longer, I'd lose you forever. She'd been watching us. Somehow, that made everything worse. You lost us the day you left, Chloe said simply. No, Vanessa said desperately. No, that's not true. I never stopped being your mother. I thought about you every single day. I have pictures of you on my phone that I got from your grandmother. I know you made honor roll, Chloe. I know you scored the winning goal in the championship game. I know Mason loves dinosaurs and wants to be a paleontologist when he grows up. Information isn't love, Lauren said quietly. Being present is love. I wasn't capable of being present then, Vanessa said, but I am now. Prove it, I said. Not with papers or legal threats. Show us. Start with supervised visits. Let the kids get to know you again. Prove you're stable before you start making demands. Vanessa's lawyer face emerged. I don't have to prove anything. I have rights as their biological mother, and I have rights as their legal guardian, I countered. Rights I established when you disappeared without a trace. Her face went white. What do you mean? I mean I went to court 3 years ago and had you declared an absent parent. I have full legal custody. Your rights were terminated due to abandonment. It was a bluff, a complete lie. I'd considered it but never followed through, always hoping she might come back. But Vanessa didn't know that. You can't do that, she whispered. I already did. Check with the county courthouse if you don't believe me. Lauren squeezed my hand harder, recognizing the lie but supporting it. Then I'll petition to have them restored, Vanessa said, but she sounded less certain now. Good luck with that. You'll need to prove you've been in regular contact with the children, that you've been paying child support, that your absence was due to circumstances beyond your control. Can you prove any of that? The silence stretched. I have medical records, she said finally. Documentation of my depression and treatment. Oh, from 6 years ago? What about the 4 years of radio silence after that? What about the fact that you never called, never wrote, never sent a birthday card? I was respecting your request not to contact you. I never made that request. You wrote in your note not to look for you. You disappeared. Vanessa looked around at all of us, her biological children who barely remembered her, the woman who'd raised them in her absence, the stepchild who'd become part of their family, the life that had grown in the space she'd left behind. This isn't over, she said quietly. Yes, it is, Chloe said. We're not going with you. We don't know you. You're a stranger. I'm your mother, Vanessa whispered. No, Mason said, moving to Lauren's side. She is. Vanessa stared at us for another long moment, then turned and walked back to her car. Before getting in, she called back. I'll be in touch through my lawyer. This isn't over, Trevor. We watched her drive away in silence. That night, after we'd ordered pizza and tried to pretend it was a normal evening, Lauren and I sat on our back porch while the kids played video games inside. She'll be back, Lauren said quietly. I know. With real lawyers and real papers. I know. We need to get ahead of this. Talk to a family attorney. Document everything. Prepare for a custody battle. I nodded, but all I could think about was the look on Chloe's face when she'd called Vanessa a stranger. 6 years old when her mother left. 11 now. More than half her life had been without Vanessa. For Mason, it was even worse. He had no real memories of his biological mother. What if she wins? I asked. Lauren was quiet for a long time. Then we fight harder. Those kids are ours now, Trevor. Not because of biology, but because of time and love and showing up every single day. No court in the world can change that, but they might give her visitation rights. Or partial custody. Maybe. But look at what happened today. Chloe and Mason know who their real family is. That's not something that can be taken away with legal papers. I wanted to believe her. But I'd seen too many custody battles where biological parents had advantages that step-parents couldn't match. The next morning, I called in sick to work and spent the day researching family attorneys. By noon, I'd scheduled consultations with 3 different lawyers for the following week. The first lawyer was honest, but discouraging. Biological mothers have significant advantages in custody disputes, especially if they can prove they've addressed whatever issues led to their initial absence. The fact that she's been in therapy and has stable employment works in her favor. What about abandonment? I asked. She was gone for 6 years. That's definitely a point in your favor, but if she can frame it as seeking treatment for mental health issues, a judge might view it more sympathetically. Courts prefer to reunite children with biological parents when possible. The second lawyer was more optimistic. The length of absence is significant. 6 years is a long time in a child's life. The fact that the children are thriving in their current environment and have expressed a preference to stay will carry weight. But she could still get visitation rights? Almost certainly. But we can push for supervised visits, gradual reintegration, requirements for continued therapy. We can make this process as slow and difficult as possible while prioritizing the children's stability. The third lawyer was the most expensive, but also the most experienced with cases like ours. Here's what's going to happen, she said bluntly. Vanessa will file a petition to restore her parental rights. She'll claim temporary inability to care for the children due to mental health issues, show evidence of recovery and stability, and request immediate visitation with the goal of shared custody. And you think she'll win? I think she'll win something. The question is how much and how fast. Our job is to slow this down, document everything, and make sure the children's voices are heard. I hired her on the spot. 2 weeks later, the papers were served. Vanessa was indeed petitioning to restore her parental rights and requesting immediate unsupervised visitation with the ultimate goal of shared custody. She had documentation of her depression diagnosis, 2 years of therapy records, employment verification, and character references from her therapist, employer, and new neighbors. Her lawyer had done his homework, but so had we. We documented every school event, every doctor's appointment, every soccer game and science fair project from the past 6 years. We had statements from teachers, coaches, pediatricians, and family friends. We had the kids' school counselors prepared to testify about their emotional stability and their expressed wishes to remain in their current home. Most importantly, we had Chloe and Mason themselves. The first hearing was scheduled for October, 6 weeks away. In the meantime, the judge ordered a guardian ad litem to be appointed to represent the children's interests. A social worker would interview all parties and make recommendations to the court. This is good, our lawyer explained. Gals are trained to focus on what's best for the children, not what's legally convenient for adults. If the kids are clear about wanting to stay with you, that will carry significant weight. The guardian ad litem, Patricia Hoffman, turned out to be a kind woman in her 50s who specialized in high-conflict custody cases. She spent 2 hours at our house, observing the family dynamics, talking with all 3 kids, and interviewing Lauren and me separately. "How long have you considered Lauren to be your mother?" she asked Chloe during their private conversation. "Since I was 8, Chloe answered without hesitation. "When my bio mom left, Lauren came and made everything better. She helped me with my homework and taught me about girl stuff and came to all my soccer games. She never missed anything. And you, Mason, how do you feel about the possibility of spending time with Vanessa?" "I don't want to," Mason said firmly. "She's scary. She made Lauren sad, and she made Chloe mad. I don't remember her, but I remember being sad when she left. I don't want to be sad again." Patricia also interviewed Vanessa at her apartment in Portland. According to our lawyer, Vanessa had created what essentially amounted to a shrine to the children. Photos covering the walls, bedrooms decorated for kids who hadn't lived there, toys and clothes in the correct sizes. "It's simultaneously touching and concerning," our lawyer reported. "It shows she never stopped thinking about them, but it also suggests she's been living in a fantasy where their lives stopped when she left." The social worker's report was detailed and thorough. She noted the children's strong attachment to Lauren, their clear preference to remain in their current home, and their distress at the prospect of being forced to spend time with Vanessa. She also noted Vanessa's genuine remorse and her demonstrated commitment to recovery and stability. Her recommendation was a gradual reintegration plan, supervised visits for 6 months, followed by unsupervised day visits, with the possibility of overnight visits only after the children had established a relationship with Vanessa and felt comfortable with her. It was more contact than I wanted, but less than Vanessa was demanding. The first supervised visit was scheduled for a Saturday afternoon at a family therapy center. Vanessa would have 2 hours with the kids in a playroom while a social worker observed. Chloe refused to go. "You can't make me," she said, arms crossed in our kitchen. "I'm 11 years old. I know what I want, and I don't want to spend time with someone who abandoned me." "Sweetheart, the court ordered this," Lauren explained gently. "If we don't comply, it could hurt our case. Then let it hurt the case. I'm not going." Mason was less vocal, but equally resistant. When we tried to get him in the car, he had a complete meltdown, screaming, kicking, refusing to get dressed. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," I told our lawyer over the phone. "Forcing this is traumatizing them." "Document everything," she advised. "The children's resistance to contact is relevant evidence, but they do need to attend this visit. If they refuse, it gives Vanessa ammunition to claim we're alienating them against her." In the end, Lauren and I both went to the visit. We sat in a waiting room while Chloe and Mason spent the most uncomfortable 2 hours of their lives playing board games with a woman they considered a stranger. Through the observation window, I watched Vanessa try desperately to connect with children who had no context for her presence in their lives. She'd brought gifts, expensive toys that showed she'd been researching their interests, but Chloe politely declined them, and Mason hid behind his sister. "Tell me about school," Vanessa said brightly. "What's your favorite subject?" "Science," Chloe answered in a monotone. "That's wonderful. I loved science too when I was your age." "What kind of science?" "Biology. Are you interested in becoming a doctor, or maybe a researcher?" Chloe shrugged. The conversation continued like this for 2 hours, Vanessa asking increasingly desperate questions, while the kids gave one-word answers and counted down the minutes until they could leave. "How did it go?" the social worker asked afterward. "Fine," Chloe said politely. "Did you enjoy spending time with Vanessa?" "It was okay." But that night, Chloe crawled into bed with Lauren and me, something she hadn't done in years. "I don't want to go back," she whispered. "I know, baby," Lauren said, stroking her hair. "We're doing everything we can." The second visit went slightly better. Vanessa had adjusted her approach, focusing on activities rather than conversation. She brought art supplies, and Mason actually seemed to enjoy painting with her. Chloe remained polite but distant. "She's not evil," Chloe told me afterward. She doesn't feel like my mom. She feels like someone who used to know me but doesn't know me now." By the fourth visit, a routine had been established. The kids would go, spend 2 hours making polite conversation and doing supervised activities, then come home and need extra reassurance that they wouldn't be forced to leave us. "This is working," Vanessa told the social worker. "They're warming up to me. I think we're ready for unsupervised visits." "I disagree," our lawyer argued at the next hearing. "The children are complying with court orders, but they've shown no genuine enthusiasm for developing a relationship with Ms. Brennan. They consistently express anxiety before visits and relief when they return home." The judge reviewed the social worker's reports, which documented the children's ongoing resistance and their clear statements that they did not want their living situation to change. I'm going to continue supervised visits for another 3 months, he decided. At that point, we'll reassess based on the children's comfort level and their expressed preferences. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. During those 3 months, something interesting happened. The forced visits actually strengthened the kids' resolve. Rather than gradually warming up to Vanessa, they became more articulate about why they wanted to stay with Lauren and me. She keeps trying to give me stuff, Mason told the social worker. But I don't want her stuff. I just want to go home. She talks about when I was little like she was there, Chloe said. But she wasn't there. She doesn't know who I am now. The social worker noted that while Vanessa was trying hard to connect with the children, they had developed a strong family unit in her absence that didn't include her. It's not that the children dislike Ms. Brennan, she wrote in her report. It's that they have no context for her role in their lives. To them, she is essentially a friendly stranger who claims to be their mother. Meanwhile, our home life continued normally. Chloe made the all-star soccer team. Mason started taking piano lessons. Iris won the school art contest. We went camping, hosted sleepovers, and navigated the usual challenges of raising 3 kids. The contrast wasn't lost on anyone. At the next hearing, the judge asked to speak with Chloe and Mason privately in his chambers. They were gone for 30 minutes, and when they returned, both looked more confident than I'd seen them since this whole process started. Your Honor, our lawyer said, we'd like to request that the court consider the children's clearly expressed preferences and their demonstrated stability in their current home. I've considered everything, the judge replied, including the fact that Ms. Brennan has made significant efforts to address the issues that led to her initial absence from these children's lives. My heart sank. However, he continued, the children's welfare must be the primary consideration. After speaking with them privately, it's clear that they have formed strong attachments in their current home and that forcing them to develop a relationship with Ms. Brennan against their will would not serve their best interests. Your Honor, Vanessa's lawyer interjected, my client has constitutional rights as the biological mother, and those rights must be balanced against the children's well-being. The judge interrupted. Ms. Brennan, you've worked hard to get your life on track, and I commend you for that. But 6 years is a significant portion of these children's lives. They've bonded with other caregivers and expressed a clear preference to remain in their current home. He paused, reviewing his notes. I'm going to terminate the supervised visits. Ms. Brennan, you'll have the opportunity to send cards and letters to the children, which they can choose whether or not to read. If, when they reach the age of majority, they choose to develop a relationship with you, that will be their decision to make. Vanessa stood up abruptly. This is wrong. They're my children. No, the judge said firmly. They were your children. You made the decision to leave them. Mr. Phillips and Ms. Chen made the decision to raise them. The children have made the decision about where they want to live. The court will respect that decision. I thought Vanessa might collapse. She looked around the courtroom wildly, as if searching for someone who would advocate for her. You've poisoned them against me, she said to me. I've protected them from abandonment, I replied. There's a difference. The final papers were signed 3 weeks later. Lauren and I officially adopted Chloe and Mason, making our family legally complete. Vanessa's parental rights were permanently terminated. We never heard from her again directly, but Chloe gets a birthday card every year with a Portland postmark. She reads them now. She's 14 and curious about her biological mother, but she never responds. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if she'd stayed? Lauren asked me last month on our anniversary. Sometimes, I admitted. But then I look at our kids and I can't imagine them being any different than they are. Chloe is 15 now, captain of her soccer team and talking about college. Mason is 12, still dinosaur-obsessed, and the most empathetic kid I know. Iris is 11 and planning to be either an artist or a veterinarian or possibly both. They're happy, healthy, well-adjusted kids who know they're loved unconditionally. Sometimes I wonder if Vanessa ever found the peace she was looking for when she left us. I hope she did. I hope she built a good life for herself in Portland, but I'm grateful every day that she left us to build ours without her. The note she left said she'd be back when she was ready to be the mother they deserved. What she didn't understand was that by the time she was ready, they already had the mother they deserved, and it wasn't her.